Hello and welcome to how to change your pump on your motor. So we have here in front of me today our Whisperflo pump, which is the same type of pump that you have at home. Now the only difference is obviously mine I can move around, yours is going to have a pipe coming out of here and a pipe coming out of there, so you have to work on it right where it is for the most part. However, once we take out some of these parts, you'll be taking this off, then you can move this to another area and do the rest of the work and then come back, and I'll show that to you as we go. So the first thing we always want to do when we're going to work on something that's electrical is make sure that the power is off. So go and make sure your breaker is in the off position for the pump, so that way we don't have any accidents. And then the first thing we're going to do is remove the electrical conduit out of the side of your motor here. Mine doesn't have it right now. It has one of these with a conduit coming out of it, and that's where your wiring is. And you're going to need to first remove that. So before we do that, let's go ahead and review the tools. What you're going to need as a minimum to change a motor is I have a screwdriver that we call an 8-in-1 screwdriver. And what you're going to need is at least a flat tip screwdriver, a cross tip screwdriver, and a 1/4 inch nut driver. Now mine is all in one. You can buy 3 different things and do it, or you can buy an all-in-one inclusive one such as this, and you get a 4-in-1, a 6-in-1, or an 8-in-1 screwdriver. Then you're going to need a 9/16 socket set, a 9/16 wrench, and a 7/16 wrench. Or you can get 2 9/16 wrenches. I prefer the socket wrench and the regular wrench. You're also going to need a pair of needle nose pliers for the electrical. You're going to need a pair of pliers that slip in and out like this, and this is a very large pair. You don't need one quite so large. You can get away with a medium size set, but you definitely need to get a set of that. And of course the lube, which we got you, you're going to have your 1000 seal, and you're going to have your new seal plate gasket, and those we got you from SCP. We also got you the lube. Your container is going to be smaller in this one because I didn't think you needed as large a one as I have. Now the last and most important thing, this is a 1-inch coupler. You go to any hardware store, go to the PVC plumbing, get a 1-inch coupler. This is key in installing the seals. And that's it for tools. That's all you need. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up your electrical compartment. So you got these 2 screws here. Don't do these outer ones, but these 2 that are holding the plate down. And you don't have to take them all the way off. Go ahead and loosen them up good. And the plate slides off. Once you do that, this is where you hook up your electrical. So in this case, I have 2 screws that hold this in. Some of them have screws that you can use a screwdriver on. Some of these have bolts on there, and you use your nut driver on it, same as you did on these. It would be the 1/4 inch size. And so what you would do is you would loosen those 2 up, just like that, and there's going to be a wire, 2 wires coming in from here, and they're going to be wrapped around there. And that's when you're going to use your needle nose pliers and reach in there and straighten out those wires on both of those. Then you have right here where your ground wire goes. So there'll be 3 wires total. So once again, you're going to loosen that. You're going to pull out your ground wire. You're going to straighten out all your wires. And they come in through here and through here. So you're going to twist off that knurl nut, slide it up onto the conduit, and then take the whole thing and slide it out of there. Then when you're done, you're going to unscrew this and set it aside. That's getting the electrical out of there. That's all you need to do as far as the electrical goes. Now what we're going to do is remove the back end of the pump from the front end of the pump. So you would take a 9/16. Now you have 6 screws, 6 bolts, one here, one here. There's one under here and one under here. So these 3 here on this side, these 3 here on this side, and that's going to take this whole thing off. However, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 bolts that hold the motor onto the seal plate. And what I like to do is just loosen those, because they can be hard to loosen once you take the seal plate out of here. So if we loosen those first, especially if there's a bunch of calcium on the bottom ones. So if we loosen those first, that'll make our life easier when we get to the step of taking the seal plate off of the motor itself. So now we've loosened those. Now these middle bolts also have a nut on the back side. These 4 do not, but the 2 center ones do. So that's why you need your 9/16 wrench. So you can put it on there. I'm just gonna take that bolt out. This one's gonna be longer than the other 4. So we just put that and put it aside. Do the same thing over here. It's a little bit easier for me to do this because I can move the pump around, whereas you're stuck with wherever it is. So sometimes you do have to do contortions to get to these things. Take that off, and then I usually like to do the bottom ones. So we're going to unscrew that. So you can see that one's shorter than the others. So in the end you'll have 4 short ones, so 2 long ones. Now once we do this, we're going to pull this whole back end of the pump off of the front end of the pump. This is what we call a volute. This is a seal plate. So we're going to separate the seal plate from the volute. And yours is going to have plumbing holding it in. All you do is put your hand under the back end here. I put my top end here and I lift up. Boom. Comes right out. Now you can take this and go work on it anywhere you want. You can take this and go find a nice shady spot, put it on a table, and you don't have to sit there in your little pump house working on this. So we're going to take this and we're going to remove this piece on the front here. There's 2 little screws here. I use this. Now probably what you're going to want to do, because you probably don't have these tools, is you're going to want to have a Allen set. So you just go to the hardware store, tell them you want a small Allen key set, and they'll give you a little bag. It has probably have 8 or 9 Allen keys in it. Find the one that fits inside the little opening here, and you're just going to turn those. And the Allen key actually looks similar to this, except it comes out and it's L-shaped. So it'll have a little end on it about that long and be L, and it's hexagon shaped, and they'll just hit right in there and then you just turn it. In my case I use a specialty tool. But you probably don't want to buy a whole specialty set just for this one job. So we take those 2 out, and then the diffuser comes right off. We set that aside. Now what we have to do, there's a screw inside the impeller here, and that helps hold the impeller in place. Now the one thing to know about that screw is that it's a reverse threaded screw, because every time the pump comes on, it turns that way. It's going to want to turn that screw to the left, and it turns on and off many times. That screw's going to start loosening and coming out, so they put a reverse thread on it, so as it turns on, it actually tries to tighten it instead of loosening it. So that means normally you would say righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but in this case it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. So we want to go to the right. So we turn that. You can either turn the screwdriver or turn the impeller, whichever one you find easier. And we're going to take that screw out of there. And that's what helps hold the impeller in place so it doesn't come off during operation. And there's a little gasket on the end of it that fits in the middle. We're going to set that aside. And then we're going to get this impeller off. So there are many types of motors out there, and I don't know which type you have. For instance, this is a Centurion motor. And so, like the other one, we took the little plate off. This one, to get into the back, you loosen this one screw in the center, And we pull that off and you get your electrical right there. Much easier to get to than the other one. But and then there's others that have a cap on the back with screw on the top, screw on the bottom, and then you pull the whole cap off. On those, you'll see a plastic piece here over the center. There's a shaft that comes out, and there's a 7/16 opening on there, and that's what you use your 7/16 wrench for. Right up here there will be something, and you can slide this behind that plastic and between the wires, and you get down and it would get right on the shaft and hold the shaft for you. If you have a Centurion like this, you put a 9/16 wrench right on there and that holds it. If you have one like this, there's probably a plastic cap on here, and you're just going to turn the plastic cap and pull that off of there. And once again, you put a 9/16 wrench on here and you hold it like that. Then you're going to turn your impeller counterclockwise. That's like that. Now that is what those come in handy for. The channel locks, if this is so tight that you can't turn it, you can put channel locks on the impeller. And that's why I say you don't need to have such a huge pair. I could actually put it over the whole thing, but if you had a smaller set, you can still put it over that and then put your wrench on there, and then you're going to turn it and get that to come loose so you can then remove the impeller. So we take the impeller off, set it aside. That's your seal that we'll be replacing with that black one that I showed you. So this one's trash. Now we're going to take out these 4 screws that you loosened earlier. This is why it's so much better when you loosen them earlier, because now trying to hold this as it's turning, that they're really tight, really hard. But when you're on a big thing, much easier to hold it. So now we're just going to take out these 4 screws, set those aside. They're even shorter than these, and they don't have a washer, so it's easier to figure out which is which. Turn this around. Make sure those are good and loose. We're going to turn these out like so. Set those aside. And now we get rid of the seal plate. We want to keep the seal plate. The motor's trash, so we get rid of that. Now, the next thing we want to do is replace the pump seal. That is one half of the pump seal. The other half of the pump seal is in there. So the way we do that is you're going to flip this over, and you're going to grab your screwdriver, and there's that, you see that little metal sticking up through there. We're going to put that on the edge of that, and then you're going to take a mallet and just or you can take your 9/16 and put it on there. There. And you're just going to knock that out of there. That's trash. Now you got this half. So you take your needle nose pliers and you can grab it and twist same time and pull that right on out of there and throw that in the trash. Now we take our box with our PS 1000 in it, which means pump seal 1000. If it's not a 1000, you're going to be in trouble. We open that up and pull the seal out. Now that is what does most of the sealing right there. This is going to sit inside here. It's a press fit. It keeps the water from coming out there. And then these two, as they touch, will seal, but still allow to turn. That keeps water from coming through the shaft and into the motor and destroying your bearings. It's made out of porcelain, so it is easily broken. So you do want to be careful when you're using these that you don't break the porcelain, otherwise it's trash and you have to go get another one. So that is where the coupling comes in. You're going to take this piece and set it in place, and you can put that over the top. So you can see that side's right over there. It hits the metal, but it's not touching the porcelain. There's still a lot of play in there, so that way you're not going to break the porcelain. Put that in there, put that over the top, Then you're going to grab a mallet or channel locks. I'm going to put this on the ground because I don't think this table can handle it. And you want to make sure when you look inside there that that's seated all the way down. Once that's seated, that seal is installed and ready to go. We take this one. You don't want to get grease and stuff all over that, so don't just put your fingers on there. The box had a piece of paper in there, so you can always pull that piece of paper out, or if you have a rag, you put it over the top, just push it in. It's just like that, nice and easy. And now your pump seal is installed. Now the reason we got you magic lube is you got this where this other seal is going to go. So you're going to put magic lube inside there, and then you're going to put that black seal right here on there, and then that magic lube is going to hold it in place, so when you go to put the pump back together, it won't fall out, and then you're going to have to take it apart and do it again. Now you notice when I get down here, it doesn't quite want to sit in the groove. You kind of have to take two fingers and come down the sides in the groove, and then use your, come together, and when you have that, use your thumbs and work a little bit, and you get it inside the groove just like that. And once you have the magic lube in there, it's going to stay in there and you won't have any problem with it falling out. Now I don't do that till just before I'm ready to put the whole motor back together with the pump. So I just wanted to show it to you while I was laying here, because it's much easier to show it when it's laying face up like this. So we're ready to go back together. This is our brand new motor here. So the first thing we're going to do is take our new motor, and this with the on the top of the motor. This is always the top, and the bigger part up here is the top. So we're going to put that just like that. Then we're going to grab our 4 bolts here. We're going to put them in the hole. I'm going to get these started by hand. Got that one. So what I'm going to do is flip this up now. Put that one on there. Put these in here. Get this, and we're going to tighten this down. Once again, you can use 9/16 wrench or a ratchet. Ratchets are faster. But if you have wrenches and you don't want to buy a ratchet, you can do it with that. And just to let you know, you don't buy a 9/16 ratchet, but you actually buy a ratchet and you buy a set of sockets, and you're going to use a 9/16 socket. They don't have to be deep well like this. You can get the short ones too. And so you make sure those 4 are just snug. I mean, they're not going anywhere, so you don't have to make sure that they're never going to come off again. So once we have our seal plate on there, we're going to put the impeller back on. So we're going to take this and we just screw it right into place. Then we grab our 9/16 and put it on the back of the motor like we did when we were taking things apart. And we just take our hand and we turn this. Just give it a good little oomph with your hand, that's it. It does not, you don't have to put the wrench on there and tighten it. It's not going anywhere. And we're gonna, you can do this while it's on its side if you want. I'm doing this just for the camera. But you can see there's a little opening on the top of the impeller where that seal goes. So we're gonna push that right down in there like so. And remember, this is reverse thread. So we're gonna get our cross tip screwdriver and put it right on there. And we're gonna turn it as if we were loosening it towards counterclockwise. And once again, we don't need to tighten things so they never come off. I've had to take pumps apart where people do that, and it's very hard. So you get it till, see, I'm just turning it till it's just there, and then I give it a little, and I'm done. That's all there is to it. So then we're going to take our diffuser. Remember, we have the holes where those screws go. You can see here there's an insert right there, threaded insert, and there's another one down there. So we want to make sure our holes line up with that. And you can see it's keyed. So once you get it over in the right place, it locks in. And then we're going to find our 2 screws, which fell through the slats. And then we take our Allen wrench. Once again, see, I'm not tightening things very hard because they're not going anywhere. I'm going to take that one and turn it. Now you can replace that diffuser O-ring. I did not order you one because 9 times out of 10 on this particular pump, those aren't bad and don't need to be replaced. And 9 times out of 10, even if it's bad, you can just throw it aside and not even worry about it, and you don't need it. It doesn't affect the pump very much at all by not having it, so it's just not worth the time and effort of dealing with it. So now that we have our pump pretty much back together and ready to go, now is when we want to put that seal on there. So we're going to take our magic lube. Now, at this point, you can decide if you want to do the electrical now or wait till you put it all back together. This one